This week on the Take Control of Your Life podcast, we're going to discuss how CrossFit Control and our coaches are trying to impact the state of West Virginia health markers. So, when I opened CrossFit Control back in 2019, my focus and we talked about the mission statement has changed since then, but one of my big focuses was always like I love to dream big, and one of the things I really wanted to do was impact the obesity rating on the state level. And if you know anything about the health markers across the country, West Virginia is number one in obesity. We're number one in type 2 diabetes. We are one of the unhappiest states and one of the unhealthiest states. And I think that those two go hand in hand. And so part of my mission as I hate when people call themselves owners of affiliates, but one of the things as a leader of an affiliate that I have tried to do is not only change their fitness, but their like emotional state as well. Because if you're happier, you are healthier. And so what we're trying to accomplish with CrossFit Control is if we want to impact the health markers, we can't stay in one place. And so if you're aware, we are opening our second location out in Grafton, West Virginia. Grafton's a small town. There's not a lot going on out there, but we're hoping to work with other small businesses and hopefully help grow the economy as well as improve the health of that town and in the county. And so our big 10-year goal is to have 10 affiliates across the state and truly impact the health markers. Now, when I talk about impacting the health markers, it's not just a matter of people come in, they work out for an hour a day. What we do as coaches at CrossFit Control is we educate people on how those health markers are created. So what I mean by that is if you have someone come in and they're, 50 pounds overweight, you can have them exercise and you can say, hey, eat more protein. And they'll do it for a while, but what happens whenever they stop? They're probably going to gain the weight back or more, or they're going to get frustrated with how long it's taking them to see results because it's not an overnight gain. So what we try to do in our onboarding process is educate them on realistically how long it's going to take them to see those changes. And then throughout the course of their time here, whether it's 1 month or 1 decade, we educate throughout the week. We talk about nutrition. We talk about fitness. We talk about recovery. We talk about what's going on in the body. One of the things I really think that sets me apart personally is my understanding of anatomy. And that's something like all three of us have discussed before. I've worked with Greg a lot on increasing your range of motion and fixing some of the lower body injuries you had before CrossFit. And Matt, you as a coach, you are constantly questioning and learning more about how the body is put together. And so to me, to change a state, it's education. Mm-hmm. And it took me about 3 years to realize that it's education, because what you teach them in here, let's say we have a mother and she's a wife. She's going to go home and she's the only member of her family that goes here. But she's going to go home and she's going to share that education with her children. She's going to share that education with her spouse. She's going to share that education with her parents and her coworkers, and hopefully we get a chance to work with those other individuals. But the education we provided for one is going to grow into 100, and that's the ultimate goal that I have. And it's not an overnight thing. I'm aware it's going to take a long time, but the more people I can educate, the more people these coaches can educate, the better this state is going to become. And honestly, you're from West Virginia. Matt, you're not from West Virginia, but you've been here for a while. I get tired of our home state getting shit on all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's my goal. I know I just rambled for about 5 minutes, but I would really like to hear, Greg, you've been with us since the very beginning, so you've seen not only the development of the other coaches, the gym, but you've seen my personal development as a leader and as a coach. And so I'd like to hear your thoughts. Matt, you and I have worked together for about 2 years now, and to see your growth from the time you started to where you're at now has been impressive too. So I'm going to pass it on to you guys to talk for a little bit.
Okay. Well, you'd mentioned our second affiliate opening up, and if I'm not mistaken, we are now the only CrossFit gym in West Virginia with 2 affiliates?
I think that is true. I did not check. I know that Ridgeline had 2 at one point, but they closed down their downtown location. But I do think that we are the only affiliate with 2 locations.
Okay, so that's a little feather in our cap right there. So we are growing, and like Devan said, our goal is to have 10 affiliates across the state. But yeah, as far as when I started to where it is now, I feel like you personally take the education piece much more seriously than you did when you first started. It's really opened your eyes, and we always say you never know who's listening or who's watching. And every time in class, a little tidbit gets thrown out there and whatever. And we're always learning here, but I feel like you focus more on education, and I feel like that helps our members more than anything else. So I've been here since the beginning. Now have my 2 daughters in here because they hear me preach all the time. I'm singing the gospel. My wife goes here. My daughter-in-law goes here. So it's a family affair for us because they've heard me talk about the things you can accomplish when you're in here, the community of the gym and everything else. So this place is not like any other place I've been to. And I know your passion for this, and that's one of the things that does not let me take a day off. I'm pretty strong-willed to begin with, but your passion is what keeps me coming through the doors day in and day out. Because and the thing is, Devan just doesn't want to see it for me. He wants to see it for Matt. He wants to see it for every single member that is a member. And I hope you guys understand that he really gives a shit about everybody. And like he said, the more he can educate us and the more we talk about it, I would really like to just let Mississippi, we keep fighting with Mississippi over all these markers, and I'd really like for them to just be the worst at everything and get our state, hell, if we can make an impact and get into the low 40s, that's a hell of an accomplishment, Matt?
Yeah.
So kind of talk about how you brought up when you show up and you move, you feel happier, you feel better about yourself. So I don't know too much about West Virginia on the state markers. I think by default now Whitney has somehow made it to where I have to now identify as a West Virginian. I can't go back to Florida anymore. But it's true. You show up, you move. The actual biochemistry that's going on in your brain, that is going to be impacted by you having some sort of exercise and physical activity. And that is something that it carries across the way. So, like, I've noticed it coaching, and I've also noticed as an athlete, there have been times where, I tried to cancel the gym, and Devan was like, hey, come on, just talk to me. We showed up, we had a conversation, I did a class, and yeah, it took me a couple of classes, but I got out of the funk that I was in, have not turned back around ever since. And that is something that I've talked to members, but I'm not going to name anybody by specific, but we'll have the conversations of, I've had a horrible day, I've had a horrible week, a horrible couple of years, but we hear time and time again of like, this is exactly what I needed today. I needed to have Greg just have a random conversation with me because you never know what's going on with people's lives. Mm-hmm. So having that little break from whatever life is throwing at you, I think that is where we are affecting a large part of the community, not just with knowledge and education through physical aspects, but emotionally, mentally, I feel like we are on a upwards trend throughout this area of West Virginia. And Devan and I had spoke about, it's not just the members that we care about. We care about former members, past members, people who have no affiliation to our gym whatsoever. It can be a stranger in the store. But if you are willing to give any bit of a shot to take care of yourself, we are here and we are wanting to help you reach whatever goal it is that you have in mind.
Something, to me, it's all about education. And I've said it multiple times. We're very fortunate to have the current coaches that we have here. One of the hardest, I'm not even going to say it's hard. I think it's a personality trait. You said, like, I truly give a shit about people. You cannot be selfish if you're trying to impact and change lives. One of my favorite things that I've been able to do since turning and becoming a coach is to work with the ARC. And Greg's the director of the ARC of Harrison County, and they help adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And I have been fortunate enough to work personally with a few of them and work in groups for a couple summers. And every Monday when I go down there, I am humbled to be able to impact these people's lives. And it's an education piece. And what's been cool about this year of doing it, we just wrapped it up about 2 weeks ago, is a majority of the participants' staff participated as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that they took that home with them, and I hope that they did it with them at the house. But we educated them on nutrition, we educated them on movements, and they loved it. So that's number one. Like, you cannot be selfish. You got to care about every single person, regardless of how they treat you. Because we've had people talk down to me in front of an entire group, but I still care about that person. I still want to change their lives. The other thing, when we talk about education, we have been doing a lot of free material lately.
Yeah.
So we do these podcasts. These are free. But we've also been doing the 1-minute educational pieces, because I heard a thing one time, and it's basically you were trying to grow your audience so you can reach more people. So for a long time, I didn't want to do these videos because it was free material, and I wanted to focus on the people who were paying for a service that we were trying to provide. And I wanted to make that service so good. But what I didn't realize is, by putting out just a small fraction of what we do as free content, it would impact more people. And those people might sign up, they might not. But what you said is, I care about every single person who wants to change their life.
Yes.
Whether they're here or not, if I have the time, I will help them. And that, the little tiny chunks of what we do here that we are putting out on social media for free, I hope that the people who watch those, and if they never use our service, it's okay. But I hope you take that, and I hope you change your life with it. And I'm very lucky to have, not just you guys, we have 4 other coaches on staff. The coaches that are willing to put the effort in to change lives outside of here is so important.
I think you miscounted. There were 5.
Who am I missing? There's us 3.
Deborah, Erica, Sierra, Alyssa, P. Riley.
Oh, Alyssa she's taking her level 1 this week, so that's
okay.
where I forgot about her. But no, I'm telling you guys, we say it all the time. We are doing cool shit here. We are continuing to grow, and some of the stuff we're working on the back end that doesn't even have to do with fitness that we're getting ready to offer. I never want to be compared to anyone else. I want to impact our state, and I want to change everyone's lives, and I want to do it in the absolute best way possible, in the most efficient way possible. So if you're struggling with something, reach out to us. If we don't have the answer, I promise you I will find someone who has the answer for you.
Yeah. And even if it's not about fitness, if you are struggling with anything, all of our coaches, even our members, we all have ears. We can listen, and all of us are willing to help in whatever way.
Yep. If we don't know it, we can point you in the right direction.